Welcome to Triple T and Me. I am delighted that today my special guest is Coach Brent Chitty. I'm so excited for him to be my guest. He's the head coach for the boys at Columbus East. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well. Tyler, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you taking the time to be my guest. This has been a very strange season of life that every one of us has been in. Do you think there's anything we can learn from this season that we can carry on in the future?
I think the thing that comes to mind is not so much what we learned. I would say it's more the application of what we have learned. I think the first thing is that we learn is that there's none of us that are above something like this being able to happen. I mean, we consider the United States, the leaders in the world, and it has changed not only the world or the global life, but it's also changed what happens right here at home. And we weren't prepared for it. But we're a tough country, and we've learned many lessons along the way. So we have to apply them. I mean, I think we have to be patient. I think we have to exhibit a lot of patience with this because we all want answers, but the reality of it is nobody really knows. So we're all kind of learning this together. We're going to make mistakes. When you don't know and you're trying, so forgiveness comes right up. We better be forgiving. It's okay. Oh, I can't believe we did that. But, you gotta be forgiving because because nobody really knows. We're trying different avenues to change this thing, to get back to normalcy. I think with that is when it's all said and done, there's always going to be people that second guess, and point fingers and things like that. And I think the one thing America is we're resilient, we're tough, but we also we are a country that understands grace.
Coach, a lot of people may know a little bit about modern day Coach Chitty, but a lot of people may not know much about young Coach Chitty. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you growing up and a couple of highlights from high school and maybe college too?
Well, first of all, that you're digging back into the when dinosaurs walked the earth. So the reality of it is the young Coach Chitty was blessed to have great parents, great friends, great brothers. Grow up in a time in Bloomington, Indiana, where my friends. That's back when every parent you. I probably got as many whippings from my friends' parents as I did from my own, and they were all pretty much well deserved. But I was just a blessed young man. Didn't realize at the time until you get older. But growing up in Bloomington and at that time, just a neat town, the university was there, and I had great teachers. I had wonderful teachers and had great coaches. I played for a great coach, Bill Springer, in high school. Had great teachers and had great friends that to this day, talk to probably weekly. Just blessed, and coach with Tom McKinney, and Mike Lord and Dick Renard, guys that were top of their game. And I just say, that's just being blessed. Some people say be in the right place, right time, and it's not who you are, it's who you know. There's probably a lot of truth to that too, but I was just lucky, just blessed and lucky.
That's great. So then where did you go on to college?
Went to college, played college basketball at the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. Got a chance to get my education paid for, and then came back and finished up my mathematics at IU back home in Bloomington, and started coaching at Bloomington North as a freshman coach. And I got that job, Tyler, because nobody else wanted it. It was, you know, they didn't really interview me. They just kind of say, "Man, we don't have a coach, and we need somebody." I think the problem lied is that people were a little intimidated because Coach Knight's son Patrick was going to be a freshman, and no coach really wanted to take that on. Not because he wasn't a good kid; they were intimidated by Coach Knight, and I was the young Coach Chitty was, from the other side of the tracks. So I really wasn't intimidated by too much, you know. And so, hey, it was easy money teaching basketball. So I was like, I'll take that. And so that's how it all started. That turned into a blessed relationship as well, and blessed opportunity.
So did you coach Coach Knight's son all 4 years?
Yeah.
And
yeah, Coach Patrick, and then moved up from freshman coach. And we had a lot of success, but I had great players. I mean, that freshman group was loaded with great talent. And so I had a lot of energy back then. So my energy and their talent, it was just a good combination. We were lucky and successful, and so I got moved up to JV coach, and then some of those kids as sophomores went on to play varsity. Some played JV. So, like I said, I very talented young men that to coach, which I always tell people, everybody that I know knows X's and O's, Tyler. Everybody I know knows X's and O's. But there's only a few of us that really got those Jimmy and Joes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those guys that can just really play. And I had some Jimmys and Joes. I had them. So we were very fortunate, very successful. So yeah, I got to move up, and still talk with Patrick's mother every once in a while. And Patrick's a scout now for the Pacers out west. So he's very successful in basketball.
That's great. That's great. So when was it that you decided like you want to be a coach? When was that, and what kind of led you to make that decision?
I think when I was young. I mean, if my mother was still alive, or you talk to my brothers, they'd always tell you that no matter where I was at, I had a basketball in my hand. I played in every court in Bloomington that you could imagine. The Boys Club, the West Side Community Center, up on the hill, played West, 2nd Street, played at Bryan Park. I mean, if there was a park, and there was a game going on, I was there. Hyper building as I got older, playing in the Hyper, playing with youth players. And, I always tell my son that my junior year, I worked out with Isaiah Thomas, Jimmy Thomas, and Tony Brown. And we work out like 6 o'clock in the morning upstairs in the Hyper building. And a lot of shooting, a lot of ball handling. And then we always had to play, it was one-on-one. But it was, so you would play one-on-one against them. And if, the guy scored, he stayed offense, and then a new defensive guy would come on. All summer long, from, you figure we got out of school in May. So from May until August, I never won a one-on-one game with any of them. They destroyed me, I'd come home with bloody lips and, black eye. Jimmy Thomas caught me with the elbow. Looked like I got punched. I mean, it wasn't on purpose, but just they were so good. They won a national championship, but they were so much more talented than I was. And I told my son, I said, many days I just felt defeated, like maybe I'm not very good at this at all. And then I didn't realize till I started playing against guys my own age in, my senior high school that, hey, you know what, I'm not as bad as I thought I was. Those guys just are that much better. So it was called paying your dues, so you had to pay your dues, and I was blessed to have that opportunity.
That's great. So you coached first in Bloomington, and then eventually you went to Evansville, right?
I was assistant coach at Bloomington North for 8 years, and then I went to Owen Valley High School for 3 years as a head coach. That's my first head coaching job. And once again, I inherited a team that the year before they were young, and they were playing, and they had struggled. I think they had won like 5 or 6 games, so they improved immensely over the summer, and they were hungry to win, and I was hungry to be a head coach, and it was just a good fit. And I think that first year we were 17-4. I was thankful for that opportunity to be, so I still could be close to home to my family, because Spencer's not that far from Bloomington. And then I just got a great opportunity to go to Evansville Central.
And how long were you in Evansville, Coach, before you took the Columbus East job?
I was in Evansville for 13 years. Great community, great basketball, great basketball. My mother's health started failing her a little bit, so I had the opportunity to get to Columbus East, which is once again closer to Bloomington, so I could spend more time, be closer to her. And back then '69 wasn't built yet, so now I think you get up there pretty quick from Evansville to Bloomington, but back then it was the old road. So, and then I think this starts year 11 in Columbus.
So how have you enjoyed your time in Columbus and being the coach at Columbus East, Coach?
Well, I always tell everybody that, no matter where you go, you either make it good or you'll make it bad. And Columbus just makes it really easy to make it good. I mean, it's a very good school corporation. The community is very supportive. It's small enough still, that has that hometown, feeling, and so community comes out and supports, the local sports, and just a lot of good folk. I mean, there's just a lot of good folk in Columbus, and so it's been a neat part of our journey for our family.
That's great. So, Coach, is there a team that you play each season that you look forward to playing maybe more than the other games? And is there a team that maybe you dread meeting?
Tyler, I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because anybody, like if you ask my players that, they'll start laughing. I'm such a competitive person. Is that, I always tell everybody this, I look forward to playing everybody because I love to compete, and I hate playing everybody because in Indiana, everybody's so well prepared. I mean, there's just coaching in Indiana is phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. And players, every night you're playing against somebody that's good. It's Indiana. I mean, and I take a lot of pride in that. They're just really good players in Indiana. We always laugh because when I was in Evansville, like if Central was playing Evansville Rights, it's probably about a 6-minute trip. Okay. If you're playing Evansville North, it's probably a 5-minute trip, so everybody's right there. And Evansville Rights had a really good team, and we were a young team, and we went into playing in Evansville Rights. And I mean, the rivalry is just, it's just incredible, and in Evansville Rights just missed some shots at the end, and we had a chance to win, and we had to shoot free throws, and we hit the first free throw and put us down 1, And the second free throw we missed, and the ball got tipped. The rebound got tipped and got into our kid's hand, who missed the free throw. And he shot a last-second shot, and it went in, and we actually won. And it was just, I mean, I can't say we didn't deserve to win because we did play well, but they were a very, very talented team. And I mean, it was, people were, it's a rivalry and people were fired up. And what people don't realize is the next morning, after competing and battling with them, the next morning on a Saturday morning, because this was late in the season, Mike Adams, the coach at Evansville, writes, I picked him up at Applebee's parking lot. His daughter, my daughter, his daughter, and him, and we drove to St. Louis for a soccer tournament because our daughters are on the same travel team. And we talked about the game, and he's one of my closest friends. He's like a brother to me, and so that night before, he wanted to rip my eyeballs out, and I wanted to kick him right in his butt. And the next morning, we're arguing over who's going to pay for breakfast, which I think just speaks volumes of the coaching fraternity, and people of Indiana. How much basketball means to them.
I love that. So, Coach, people don't have to get to know you very well to learn that faith is very important to you. Can you speak on when faith became important to you and why that's important to you?
I think for me, I remember it well. It was my third year of teaching at Bloomington North. I used to run a study table at 6 o'clock in the morning, and and I just had a rule. You were going to be on time. You were going to be on time, or you were going to face the wrath of Coach Chitty, because I don't. If you want help and you're really serious about it, get your butt out of bed and get yourself where you're supposed to be on time. No excuses. Let's go. And so I had like 6 kids in there already. I mean, it was open to any extracurricular kid. If you were in the band and you were having trouble, we wanted you there. And I taught math at the time, and so I had one of my athletes show up, and this kid shows up and he's crying, and so now you're looking at probably about maybe a 24-year-old Coach Chitty. And of course I knew everything at 24, Tyler. I had all the answers and I knew everything. And he was crying, so I call him back out home and shut the door. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, man, why are you crying? You gotta be tougher than that. You're just late. And he's like, oh, Coach. He said, it's not about me being late. He said, I am sorry for that. He said, my dad didn't know who I was this morning. He's in the hospice program, and he'd been fighting cancer, and he didn't know who I was. And at that time right there, Tyler, I grew up boxing, and I felt like somebody hit me with an uppercut, and they were just pounding me. I felt I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. Number one, I didn't know a kid who was a really good kid, good player. I didn't know his family situation. It was a very humbling experience. And the first thing out of my mouth is like, hey man, I can't help you, but God can. I don't even know why I said it. And so, I just started going to church with him. We would meet, and I would go into church with him. And next thing I knew, one thing led to another. I was, leading a Bible study, and it changed my life. Because of it, it made me a better person, and it really developed my faith. That I realized that, Coach Chitty's not in charge of anything. I'm not in charge of anything. And everything that has been given to me is pretty much a blessing in my life. And if I have the opportunity to help other people, I probably need to start doing a better job of that. And you know, and so from that point on, that's when it all kind of changed. God has put me in this position. It's been, that this is the way I minister, as a coach and as a teacher. And that's, I don't know if that was me saying that's what I was going to do. I think it's more, guys say, hey, here's what you need to do, and this is the way you're going to do it, and this is where you're going to do it, and now you're going to go do it here. So, it's I always make one of my favorite references. I always tell people is that, Jonah wasn't going to Nineveh, Tyler. You know that, don't you?
Right.
Jonah was not going to Nineveh. You understand that, right?
Right.
But where did he end up? Where did he end up? Do you remember where he ended up?
Nineveh.
In Nineveh, that's right. And so, to me, it's pretty simple. I do what I think I'm called to do, and if it's in Columbus, it's in Columbus, and if it's in Cleveland, it's in Cleveland. I take it one day at a time. Tyler, this isn't Coach Chitty's plan. This is God's plan, and I'm going to try to fulfill what I believe God wants me to do on that day. Be the best basketball coach, the best teacher I can be, the best role model, the best example to the kids I come in contact with. Try to be the best husband. Try to be the best father, to my family. Try to be the best friend I can to others. And I'm just going to take it one day at a time.
I love that outlook. That's great. Coach, one of the best rivalries in Indiana is Columbus East and Columbus North. How have you enjoyed that rivalry, and what's been the best part of just being able to be a coach of one of the teams in that rivalry?
The first thing that comes to mind is, like we talked about earlier, the community support. The community support of Columbus. Whether it be the football, basketball, games, the crowds that come out it's competitive, and like I said, but it's a celebration. And I always tell them, man, I wish we get those crowds every night for every game. I believe that community involvement, it raises the level of play for every kid in that game.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. I always love being at that game. It's fun for everyone involved. That's for sure. Coach, do you have a Bible verse that is like your favorite Bible verse that helps you to continue to just follow the Lord no matter what life throws at you?
Jesus says, "Do not worry." He talks about, how the good Lord has provided for the birds, all the creatures, everything, and if He does that for them, you don't think He's going to do that for you.
Coach, something I learned about you recently is you're quite the fisherman, hence the fish behind you and everything. How long you been into fishing, and have you won some tournaments this summer?
I have not. I'll tell you what, I've not won any tournaments this summer. We've caught a few fish. We're still learning the lake that we live on now, but I grew up fishing. I grew up on Lake Monroe, Lake Griffey, Lake Lemon, and just love it. Well, Parker and I, we fished together, and I don't, don't get me wrong, we want to catch some fish, but I really enjoy that time with him, fishing those tournaments together, and he's given me lesson after lesson this summer. He's caught a lot of nice fish, and old Dad I haven't helped him out much, so I gotta get my game going here a little bit better. I gotta catch some bigger fish for him.
That's great. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time to be my guest today. I'd love to close our time together in prayer.
Okay.
Lord, I thank you so much for Coach Chitty. I thank you for the impact that he has had and is having on so many young people. Lord, I thank you for the husband that he is, the father that he is, the friend that he is. the impact that he has had on all the communities that he's lived and coached in, including Columbus. Lord, thank you for his perspective, realizing that we don't have to worry. As Jesus said, we don't need to worry about anything because you're in control. And I thank you for Coach's understanding of that and the way that he lives that out. And Lord, we just pray that you would help us to remember that every day as we take one day at a time. Lord, thank you for this time that we just got to chat, and I pray that this would be a blessing to all those that get to view it, and I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks so much, Coach.